Yo, what up, friends? Detained and taken out of the car by Officer Danny Torres, 27 years on the force, took him out of the car, forcibly removed him. Now, we will say this was after he had asked Tyreek Hill to roll down his window. Tyreek Hill did not comply, and it took a little bit of time before finally he rolled down the window. He pulled him out the car, threw him on the ground, knee in the back. Then they sat him up, and then after that, tackled him again to the ground. All of this over an alleged speeding, which, by the way, was rumored to be over 100 miles an hour. Later found out to be 60. You know how many people I see on South Beach speeding at 60 miles an hour? Right. A lot of people, all the time, all the time. Now, he is in a nice car, a $250,000 Maserati. Really, what I want to ask, because we all know where most people stand. You're on the side where you're on the anti kind of collar Kaepernick route, where you're going to say, well, he deserved it because he didn't comply. And then you've got the other side, which is he didn't deserve any of that, no matter if he did comply, because that the whatever he was being charged for didn't bring it to that level. There's the other people in the middle that see both sides and then try to inject Scottie Scheffler, the golfer who was arrested and taken in for a few hours at the U.S. Open, which you'll get my opinion on that in a second, but that's another part of the story. So whoever wants to kick us off first, you're welcome to go. What are your thoughts on this, and how do you feel about the situation, about how people are talking about it from both different sides?
I mean, I went through a up and down thing for me. I don't know if y'all know, I used to work in law enforcement. So I looked at it from one way, and then I watched this one YouTube from a lawyer standpoint. And I said, you know what? I didn't even look at it like that either. So now I kind of fall on the sides. I mean, I did say from the get-go that the officer was excessive. It didn't take all that, but the one thing that my mind changed on was the window roll down thing. So basically, like the lawyer said, even if he cracked his window, it's still in compliance as far as the law goes, because he didn't say how far he needs to roll it down. Well, he said you roll your window down. So if he cracked it and him the license, he's in compliance. As far as the law is, we can see it from a different standpoint as far as like our moral standards and all that kind of stuff, and our own opinions. But as far as the law goes, once that window goes down, because all he said was, "Oh, where you want to have your license?" He didn't say roll all the way down, none of that. So he was in compliance.
I've known plenty of people that have used that law, and they only roll their window down a little bit and hand their ID out of there, and that's
right.
It.
Right.
Keep moving.
So yeah. Then you add on top of later you find out that this officer has done this conduct before.
It's
just not his first time. So he has a history.
So let me update this real quick. So he has on record at least 6 suspensions. 4 of them are just for a few days. One was a 10-day suspension, and one was a 20-day suspension, all for forcible actions, all for abusive actions.
Yeah, he still has a job.
Go ahead, keep going.
This is the issue I have with that too. I can't remember, was that officer that ended up killing somebody, but he kept going from department to department.
I read that story. I read that story.
Yeah, right. So my thing is, you're right. That's what it was. So my thing is, why do we have to keep going through this where you have an officer going from department to department or incident to incident, and then until someone gets killed, then all of a sudden, let's take action. You had a chance to take action a long time ago when they showed you who they were, and the crazy thing, when you go through hiring, you go through this rigorous thing. First, you take a written test. Then you got to go through this review board. You go through all this other thing. You do something. No, down here, they still do lie detector test, which is crazy as hell. But, you go through, they still do that down here. But up north, they don't really do that. But you go through all this process. You go through a psycho valve, all that stuff, and you still got crazy people on the force.
Yeah, that's wild.
You know what I'm saying?
That's crazy.
It's crazy to me, man, how you still have these people still passing your rigorous tests in quotation marks, and they still out here on the force not seen to be sane, but they went through a psycho valve. It make sense to me.
It doesn't really make sense, because you're right. These how they still pass these eval. And again, look, I passed I passed when I went into the military and got my clearance. I passed a, one of those, the whatever the test that the lie detector test, whatever.
Yeah,
it's
I
called.
passed all that. Yeah, I've been through
Yeah.
it.
So,
But
look, there are ways to get around those sorts of things. There are ways to intervent those sorts of things. But the fact is that most people who turn, let me take that back before I get us canceled. Some of these police officers that end up being abusive in power are people that were bullied or abused earlier in their life, and now they want to go and take it out on people. And when you're in the police force,
there's another point I want to make too, because you said it made me think about this. There's another part to this. So when you go through, you're in law enforcement and you see things over and over again, there's no decompression that they give you. You know what I'm saying? You got to do it yourself, but there's no, and I'm gonna give you a good example. So I worked in the school police department when I was in Detroit. And anybody know about Detroit is mostly black. And before I went into work that job, I'm pro-black, everything, blah, blah, blah. When I got to that job, I hated kids. You know what I'm saying? I had a disdain for kids, especially black kids. And it took for me to get out of that decompress and realize, because there's no way of decompression while you in that job. You get this mindset, and it's not like you don't see them as one of us. You see us against them, or them as the other. So that's when I brought that point up for two reasons. One is that the police department needs to do a lot of rehauling in the way they do things.
That,
you know what I'm saying? For the officer's sake and for the public's sake. And it's another thing I brought up, because people say, well, it can't be racist because it was a black cop, or it was okay. They don't understand is that, but they don't understand the fact is they don't see you as black. They don't see you as Latino. They just see you as the other, because they've been in that job for so long and they have no way of decompressing and getting out of their mind. And cause who you gonna talk to? You can't come home and talk to your mate or nothing like that. You don't. You fellow officers, y'all don't really talk about it from that level. And then they tell you
too.
Right, as a brotherhood, and they don't encourage you to go see the therapist,
psychiatrist, or
unless you have a shooting or something like that. But it's not like encouraging you to go see the therapist on a daily basis so you can decompress. None of that is encouraged. So you internalize a lot of stuff, and when you out here on the streets, it's us against them. And really, if you really break it down percentage wise, the people who do bad things is the 1 or 2%. Because we see on the news and we look like we think everybody's doing. It's only 1 or 2%. So majority of people you pulling over are good citizens.
Right. Yeah, I mean, in society in general, I like to believe that the majority of people, at least, are good-hearted and wouldn't do things that would affect other people, at least directly. But cops do have that power. And they are, you're right in the fact that they have these things that they deal with, that they're not able to vent, they're not able to get these things out of their system. And even though that may be true, I mean, I worked Intel. I couldn't tell nobody about my job or what I did, things like that. It's like, okay, you can't use that as an excuse for bad behavior, though.
Yeah, and I wasn't.
No. I know. I'm glad you brought that up, but I'm just saying for them, like, yeah, you may not be able to see a therapist, but you still got to do your job to protect and serve. And the problem that I've always seen in my life is that police serve more than they protect. Clubber D-Bar, what do y'all want?
Nah, I'm gonna keep it short. I've had me and Mel had the conversation on ILW Sports about it. I've had conversations with Clubber D and you, Omar, off camera.
Offline?
Yeah, offline. Look, Tyreek, he could have handled the situation a lot better. That's the part of the situation he needs to own. I certainly wouldn't have behaved that way dealing with the cops. That's just me, because I know the rules. I know the regulations. Well, okay, I know the unwritten rules and regulations.
Right.
Let's specify. Right. All right. I wouldn't have done that. So I think Tyreek could have handled the situation, but let's make it known that it doesn't justify the behavior of the cop. You're supposed to decompress situation. You're supposed to de-escalate the
Right,
situation.
right.
And here's my thing, if you can't stop, think, and handle a situation in a calm manner, you do not need to be a cop.
There you go. There you go.
So I mean that's just where I'm at with this situation. Both parties should have handled the situation better than what it was. That's just where I'm at. Tyreek definitely could have handled the situation better, but this guy with a history of force, you can't be on the job still excessively forcing people into those type of positions. So there's some things.
I don't know what job you can get suspended in 6 times and still keep your damn job. Because I've been fired for a whole lot less before.
A whole lot less.
I called a girl a bitch at a lunch shift one time and got fired for it.
I can't say that. When I go out, I go out with a bang. Lamar tell you.
You're cool.
Lamar tell you. When I get fired for a reason. I go out with a bang.
I'm saying, but still, people get fired for way less than 6 suspensions.
True.
And taking out your aggressiveness on people.
Well, it depends. I would say it depends on like the police force if they're lacking people. You know what I'm saying? They can't get rid of officer. The background on this dude, he is a part of a motorcycle gang. I forgot the name of the gang he's part of.
Oh shit! Hear that.
So one issue, I have 2 issues with this. I'll keep it pretty brief. A lot of people are doing their own narratives and talking through emojis. We're not really saying stuff, Right. But the thing I didn't like about this, Omar, you missed it. Come on, Omar. There we go. There it is. But
I was looking at the comments.
So Tyreek could have done better, and a cop could have done better. All right. I listened to Marcellus Wiley break this whole thing down, even with all the rules and regulations in Florida. If you are stopped and they tell you to roll your window down, you have to roll it down because that's the official stop. Right. The cop did tell him before he pulled over, I'm stopping you. So he could have rolled the window down. Cop didn't have to bang on it. He was complying with you. Now, when a cop told him to do something, Tyreek, I'm on the phone with this guy. I'm on the phone with Drew. This ain't time for you to do all that stuff. All right. It's not, you're not on their time. Okay. You can't just do what you want. You're not on your time. Right. Now, the cop was mad aggressive. The other cop who had the cam, he was more calm. He was a more calm. He was trying to de-escalate. Trying to de-escalate, not the other cop. Now, there needs to be a fine line in that. Don't get me wrong, because if they pull you over to tell you what they're pulling you over for, that's not for you to be like, well, I want to do this. No. Shut the fuck up and do what they tell you to do, because it can turn into something where you might not go home from. Okay.
Right.
I will always be for a person of color or a person of non-color. If you get stopped by the cops, don't fight them, because I'd rather you fight it in court than your loved ones fighting it for you while you're dead. That's just my philosophy and all that stuff.
Good point.
It's you're not going to win on the scene. You're not going to win. So, I say this, but if I'm in that situation, I don't know what I'm going to do, but I will hopefully I have the sense to not really go combat the cop unless he's overly provoking me. And that guy was provoking Tyreek Hill. He was doing that, but he was giving him chances to do it. Like, sit down. Oh, I surgery my knee. You're about to play an NFL game. You just said, do you know who I am? Like, it's just like, come on, bro. Like, it's every time I give him an inch, I got to take it away. Calais Campbell, when he got put in cuffs, the cop was like, you can't park in the middle of the road. Okay. And Calais was like, okay, which cop am I talking to? Another guy, the aggressive one, was like, you're dealing with me. License registrations. And then he turns to the other guy. Don't do that. The guy's already on a level 10. He already wants to take you to jail. So don't move your car or get arrested. Like, just, I don't know. I just don't like arguing with the cops because they always can win in that situation. I'd rather them being overly aggressive to where I am going to take your ass to court. But I'd rather them live and not get arrested than, what I'm saying, you got to suck it up, let them talk to you any which way. It is what it is. But, fight it later. That's but I think it's both of them faults, summing it all up.
Yeah.
There's definitely faults in both sides involved. They both could have handled the situation better. I was just stated so eloquently by Clubber D. I mean, I've been pulled over way too many times I can't even count in my life, and because I was a horrible driver. And some of the times the cops really fucked with me. There's been times I've been pulled out of the car like that, and there were times that I was complying, and there were times that I was not complying. I'm not Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill had a little bit of an ego to him. He's going to the game. He's high on himself. Cool, right? You kind of want to, do what you do. At the same time, all that being said and done, first of all, the charge does not warrant anything that would involve excessive force. And the fact is that you opened the door and didn't even give him a chance to get out before you started pulling him and throwing him to the ground, which again is just excessive and unnecessary in the situation because he posed no threat. Now, when the window was down, sure. I mean, when the window was up, sure. You don't know. Maybe he has a gun. You don't know what kind of threat he poses. But when you already have your arms on him and you're forcibly putting him to the ground, and then when he's in handcuffs behind his back and you tackle him, like, what is that nonsense? What are we doing here? What is that bullshit? My man can't even do anything. He has his hands behind his back.
Yeah, you already got detained.
Right, you already got detained. And
he wasn't listening, though. He wasn't listening. You want to say, oh, this hurts, that hurts. They tell you to get down. Get down. Just stop.
No,
it's not your time to negotiate. Just get down.
I get it. Yeah, and
I hate sounding like that, but you're gonna get put down. They're not gonna give you a chance. You know what I'm saying?
No, that's fine. And he shouldn't have been trying to negotiate, but at this point, he was already on the ground sitting down, and he got tackled. Like, you don't need to do that. You don't need to do that. So, and again, I've been in this situation. I was going to tell this story about one time me and Clubber D, went out. I went to sleep in the car. They pulled me out of the car in the middle of the parking lot at a bar, and I left my keys inside with the group because I didn't want to get a DUI or anything. They pulled me out and essentially did the same thing to me because they were just looking for people in every car, trying to find someone who was drunk, and they arrested me for it and took me to jail for it. Now, before we get out of here, one thing I do want to say is that I don't believe this is anything like the Scotty Scheffler situation. Yeah, he got taken to jail. Yeah, he got booked, had to stay there for a couple hours and been taken out. But to me, being thrown down on the ground in front of the public and being assaulted and harassed like that, to me, is more embarrassing and hurtful than just taking me and booking me at the station and then releasing me.
Mm-hmm.
How do y'all feel about that?
They're opposing their will. They're just trying to oppose their will, saying we're this, we're that. You know what I'm saying? Because they don't. When the cops, I'm saying this because I know a couple cops and I've heard their side of the things, and they're the ones I know are decent cops. I don't think they're bad, but it's just that say if you're working 6-hour, 7-hour shift and you stop somebody and they're giving you every excuse in the world not to get out the car, we're like, no, get out the car. I don't want to hear all that. Get out. Sit down. That is sometimes they don't want to hear all that stuff, but it is what it is.